Degloirespace signing in. For those of you who are on the path of change, this video is for you. Think of this video like a companion on this journey that you either found yourself on or that you intended to go on. Firstly, I need you to know that change is not a small endeavor. It's not an easy task. If you intended this change, you need to know what you're getting yourself into. You need to know that you will be tested every bit of the way. And a lot of the times you will feel like everything is stacked against you. All the odds are against you. It's almost like everything is telling you, don't change. One day, you're living your life the way that you know, the way that you've been set up, the way that you've been conditioned, the way that you've been programmed, however you want to put it. And then you hit a crossroad or a dead end. It could come in many forms. You might lose a lover. Someone you know might die. You might get a sickness, a disease. And then you ask yourself, how do I change? And this is where you start on your discovery journey. The most common way that people change is that life forces you. It corners you, waves the finger at you. You're gonna change. You don't know why it chose you. You even say, why me? Why couldn't life just continue the way it's been? At age 20, I lost my girlfriend at the time to cancer. The incident and the whole thing happened so quickly that I don't even recall the details. The thing that I do remember is how sadness drowned me. That was my only response. I didn't know how to respond to it. It was deep, deep sorrow. I didn't wake up from for a few months. And suddenly the questions started coming. What is life? What is death? And then I found myself on the quest to discover it. For some reason, life chose me and said to me, you, at that age, that's what you're going to start doing. That's what you're going to start asking about. There was no postponing, no waiting for a longer date. Search had become. I couldn't ignore it. Now, we need to note that searching doesn't mean reading. Reading can help, listening to people can help, asking questions can help, but that isn't what searching means. The reason behind this is that information is not what you're looking for. It doesn't matter how much you read about death, how much you read about life. It's not because the information is wrong. It's because this information, if you want to call it that, needs to integrate into your personality. Example, go read about death. Yeah, you start becoming an expert. This is what happens, this is what people feel, this blah, 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 blah. And then someone near you passes away or something. The next bit, it's no longer like the information. You're going to have to deal with your own fears, your own anxieties. It becomes a much bigger endeavor than just what you read. Think of it like learning to fight. Martial arts. You learn a technique, you repeat it again and again. And sure, your technique gets better. But then when there's a live opponent next to you, suddenly it's not just about your technique, it's about your timing. It's about how do you respond to them when they fire at you. How do you respond to pain? Okay, sure, I'm punching, I'm doing this, but then something really hurts me. Do I still react in the same way? What about when fatigue settles in? All of these things, you can't teach them. You got to practice them. You got to integrate them into your personality. When you first get hit by change, the first thing we generally do is we resist. We try to ignore it. But reasons keep coming up. There's always a reason that says to you, hey, remember, you need to change. This is a new reason. And then you look at it, you ignore it. And then another one pops up. Slowly, slowly, they're telling you, you can't ignore this thing, you're not ignoring it. And the more you ignore it, the bigger these reasons start shouting at you until in the end, you're cornered. There's nothing you can do anymore. You know that whatever the old system you were functioning on was, that has to get thrown. So you work to change. You fail, you struggle, you try again and again, and then you change, or so you think. Then the reason that made you change disappears. And you start asking yourself, why did I even change if this thing was momentary? This is a test. And this test is asking you, were you genuine with your change or were you being conditional? Has the change become an integral part of your personality or is it still surface level? And when that reason is gone, are you just going to revert back to what you were? Think of it like a relationship. You meet a woman or a man, and in order to be with them, there are certain things you need to change about yourself. And here, don't get on your high horse and say, oh, they have to accept you the way you are. There's no such thing. Any relationship that you go into, there's going to be some form of synchronicity that's required within the two. There's going to be some form of compromise, some adaptation. It's normal. We're not asking you to throw away your personality. That's different. So you're with this person and you start trying to change what's in you. You're like, you know what, this thing's not working for me. I should be more honest here. You know, this thing, I'm too reactive. And you start changing. You start working towards it. And then by the time you've changed, she's left or he's left. You get frustrated. Why did I even change? All this energy, all this hard work for nothing? We need to think about this differently. You are not just a personality. You are an energy. Now, this is one of the biggest game changers to life quality. If you keep yourself running around in a social circle, in here, that you are just a social being, if you're thinking of yourself like that, you know what? You're going to hit a lot of borders. You need to upgrade your system to start seeing yourself as more than that. And you are more than that. We will go through that in other videos, but I want you for today, let's just take it as you are an energy. How does this change everything? When you perceive yourself and others as energies in this particular domain, you know that change is inevitable. And that person that's changing you, they're an energy that needs to ignite something in you for the change to happen. If you don't do this update of redefining yourself, you are going to feel always that people are out to get you. Everyone is trying to stuff you over. Situations are there to push you down. You're going to ask those questions about why me? No one really cares. Everyone is out for themselves. But we want to talk about change, deep change. Change that isn't rooted in just superficial reasons. And I'll show you why. That girl or that guy that tried to change you, or that they were the reason why you changed, that person doesn't really know what is the real outcome. If I push you, what's going to happen next? You don't know. You think you know. I think if I pressure you, you're going to do what I want. I think if I motivate you, you're going to do something great. You don't really know. We think of it logically to what we know, but we inevitably don't know. For example, someone could come and try to crush your life, squash you. And instead of you doing what they want, which is to be an obedient little boy, you explode. You become a revolutionary. They're going to look at you and think, I have been pushing this person down. How did they explode like this? I've done all that's in my power to suppress. For that reason, I say that we are energies. And when people don't know what energy they're talking to, they don't know what the outcome of their interactions are. They don't know that push that they give you, where it's going to take you. So why change? Because change is inevitable. There's a quote, it says, the only constant in the universe is change. So when change happens to you, don't take it personal. Remember that energy thing. Yes, okay, I'm an energy. This is what's happening to me. Yeah, it's going to be frustrating. I'm not saying it's going to go like, woo, all smooth now that you have this understanding. But the more you see it, the more that you will be able to embrace it. And sometimes you're the trigger that makes other people change. So sometimes you could look at someone else and just know, hey, I'm part of the trigger that's going to make this person change. I don't know to what, but I'm part of that. You could be their teacher, you could be their parent, you could be their friend, you could be their boss. Some changes that happen to you are going to be easily embraced, and some are going to be heavier. Use the easier changes as motivation when you get hit with the bigger ones. So for example, as your life is progressing, you're going to have changes. When a big change is going to come along, just remind yourself, okay, I remember going from there to there. One of the things that you see a lot at school is a kid comes in at, the first year, when they're kids, and they look at the big kids and they're like, wow, you see, that's a big change. But then as you take it incrementally, it's not that big of a change really. It just keeps adapting. This is a good thing to remind yourself of. Okay, whatever I'm going through, let's just say it's a breakup, let's just say it's a building of something, you're about to, get married to somebody or you're going to have kids. Remind yourself, if you go into it with intention, it's going to feel like the increments at school. If it hits you out of nowhere, this is where you're thrown in a deep end. So that's why I promote intentionality in the change in general. Of course, there are going to be times where you really can't hold yourself back and that you're going to be plunged into the deep end. But then even then, when you've been plunged in the deep end, once this is part of your system, you're going to be like, oh, yes, I remember it. When you sit and reflect, I remember this happening. I remember this happening. Yes, change has come incrementally. And what I'm saying about change does not mean that when it comes, you're going to feel it's going to take no toll. But what I do hope is that it accompanies you on your journey. You sit there and go, yes, I reflect. I can see changes happened here. Let me just take a breath in. Let me just see it. Don't be overwhelmed by the changes as best as possible. And know that others have walked this path before you. So take the leap. Don't worry. Degloirespace signing out.